We turn now to the crisis in Yemen. A new UNICEF report finds over 11,000 children have been killed or injured in the U.S.-backed Saudi-led war in Yemen since 2015. A 6-month ceasefire between warring parties expired in October. Meanwhile, Senator Bernie Sanders withdrew an expected vote on his Yemen War Powers resolution Tuesday night after coming under pressure from the White House. He said he'd bring the resolution back if they could not reach an agreement on ending U.S. support for the war. We go now to Shireen Al-Adimi, a Yemeni-American assistant professor at Michigan State University, non-resident fellow at the Quincy Institute. It's great to have you with us. Can you respond to what took place this week, what you think needs to happen in Yemen right now?
Thanks so much for having me, Amy. Really, this is the culmination of years of trying to work with the administration to end their war in Yemen, support for the war in Yemen. As you recall, President Biden was very adamant about ending U.S. involvement when he took office, except that he didn't really fulfill this promise and his obligation to end the war. Since the Biden administration took office, they've been kind of operating under the assumption that whatever support they're providing the Saudis is defensive and not offensive, but they never really clarified to Congress what this means. It's easy to blame another entity for their attack on a sovereign country like Ukraine, and yet in the case of Yemen, it's really the opposite. Saudi Arabia attacked Yemen, a sovereign country, and the entire world went to support them and continue to support them despite the unequal balance of power, this asymmetrical warfare, and the immense casualties on humanitarian, on Yemeni lives over the last several years. We're talking about hundreds of thousands of people who are starving to death, who've starved to death already or have been killed by the violence, millions of people who still rely on aid. The blockade is still in effect, although parts of it has been partially lifted. Yemenis still continue to suffer despite the ceasefire because, bombs weren't killing most people. The blockade has been killing most people and continues to kill most people in Yemen. Saudi Arabia has not suffered the consequences of this war. They've been engaging in this war in Yemen. Them and the UAE have been occupying parts of Yemen and using its resources. And yet here in the U.S., we're not able to, face our own complicity after all of these years. We're not able to say, well, we really should not be engaging in these war crimes.